Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Andrew, and today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag, which I have never done because I've only been on here for like a year. I didn't read a whole lot last year, but this year I have read, at the time that I'm recording this, I've read 71 books, which is insanity to me, but I'm so excited to do this. Obviously, you can do this if you've only read like 30 books. Like there's 13 questions, and some of them are about books that are even like on your TBR, so like there's no pressure to have read tons and tons of books, but it's just exciting when you can, like I feel like the more you read, the more you learn your tastes, and the more I can give you confident answers to these questions. So the first question is the best book that you have read so far in 2021, and for me that is going to very easily be Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray, the second book in the Diviner series. I have mentioned this book in several videos. I believe I have a full spoiler-filled review for this book, as well as a recent reads video that talks about the whole series and just why I love it so much. So I will link both of those on the screen and in the description as well if you'd like to check those out. For whatever reason, this book just hit so well for me in ways I don't even know how to explain. It was fantastic. Easily the best book I've read so far this year. The next question is the best sequel that you have read in 2021, and obviously this is like the true answer, but because this is the second book in a series, but I am gonna go with Heartstopper Volume 4. This is the fourth volume in the Heartstopper series following Nick and Charlie. This is absolutely stunning, 100% worth your time. It'll take you hardly any time at all. It's a graphic novel, so you can get through it very quickly. There are 4 volumes out right now. This is becoming a Netflix show. It's about Nick and Charlie and their romance and the friendships that they form with it's so good. If you haven't read this, you really should. You really should read this. The next question is a new release that you are looking forward to, and for me that is easily going to go to Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have already read Daisy Jones and the Six, as well as The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which at the present moment I would easily consider in one of my top 3 favorite books of all time. It was such a good story. And Daisy Jones and the Six is up there. It was like 4.5 for me, basically. It's very good. And I've also read one of her novellas, and that was very good as well, very compelling. I really enjoy her writing a lot. I definitely plan to read this before the end of the year if I can. This is high on my priorities list. The next question is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And my answer for this is definitely going to be Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. Earlier this year, I read The House in the Cerulean Sea, loved it, and I definitely want to read his next book. I actually got an ARC for it. I have it on my phone. I've been reading it, already loving it, so not sure if I can really count it towards this question, but I'm going to anyways, and it's going to be at least a 4-star from where I'm at right now in the book, so I'm very excited, loving it. The next question is the biggest disappointment of 2021, and for me that is going to go to A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. This is the second book in the Darker Shade of Magic, or the Shades of Magic trilogy. This was 3 stars for me. Disappointing to me is it was something I had higher hopes for. The first book was a 4-star read for me. I really enjoyed it. I really liked the characters. I really liked the world. And I feel like this book didn't really expand on the things that I enjoyed. It kind of just focused more on... It was just all about keeping the characters apart, and nothing really happened until the end. And then whenever it did happen at the end, it was just not something that I found to be compelling, or I just did not. But there is something that I really enjoyed in this book. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will just say there's a certain romance introduced in here, and I really like the character dynamics that occur between several characters because of that romance. So that's all I will say on this. So it's really like a 3. It's a high 3 because I did still enjoy it and I did still want to continue the series, but I definitely had higher expectations for this one, so it was just a little bit disappointing. Or it was pretty disappointing. If I had just found it a little bit disappointing, I would have said 3.5, but it was much more... It's 3.2 2.5, you know? So that's kind of where this landed for me. The next question is gonna be your biggest surprise of the year. And for me, I'm gonna go with Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I talked about this in a recent read, so I will also link that on the screen if you wanna check it out. And this is definitely not anything groundbreaking. It's not anything like, you know what I mean? It's just commercial fiction. It's younger YA, like it's more towards a like almost middle grade, but it's sci-fi and fairy tales, and I don't really know where else you can find that. And I just had a really fun, like I just had fun. I just picked this up and I read it and it was fun. And sometimes that's all you need. So this is probably one of my way favorite things I read this year. And I mean, there should be no shame in enjoying things, right? So, and I'm very excited to continue this series. The next question is a new favorite author or new debut or new to you author. So for me, I am definitely going to go with Miss Libba Bray. She has some of my favorite sense of humor in her books. She writes some of my favorite characters. She writes some of my favorite plots. I mean, I've only read The Diviners at this point, but I have like previewed some of her other books, and I just find her so funny. I just definitely appreciate her sense of humor. So it just works for me, and I don't think that most people recommend The Diviners for humor, but I just really like the way she writes banter with her characters. I got very attached very quickly to all the characters. And there is like a whole cast in The Diviners. So I did go out and I have bought A Great and Terrible Beauty. So I do plan on reading that. So I'm not sure I can like officially, like she's probably like the closest. I would say her, Cassandra Clare, and Taylor Jenkins Reid are like at this moment some of my favorite writers. But I read Taylor Jenkins Reid last year and I read Cassandra Clare last year, so new to me is going to be Libba Bray. I'm very excited to pick up more by Libba Bray, 100%. The next question is your newest fictional crush. So I am going to choose from a book that I read this year, but it's not really a character I was introduced to this year, but we can just, this cover, whoever designed this just like a genius, first of all. Second of all, so the character I'm referring to, there are so many characters in this series already. So if you know, I would be curious who you're going to guess. I would say, so it's Matthew Fairchild. I love Matthew Fairchild, but I really fell for him last year in Ghost of the Shadow Market. And I mean, like, it's not really a crush. Like, I don't get crushes on fictional characters, but like, if an age-appropriate version of Matthew Fairchild was to reach out to me, then I would very much like to pursue a relationship with that man. I mean, he's like into Oscar. He's just a king. He's just, you know, another author who I love a lot of characters that they create. Okay, Cassandra Clare, there are multiple videos of this woman, the multiple videos on my channel of me discussing this woman's work. So I think I have a whole playlist for that, so I can link that as well. I hope I don't run out of links to put here, but if it's not linked on the screen, it'll be in the description. So I would say Matthew Fairchild is the closest to my newest fictional crush. And we're not gonna go too deep into Cassandra. All I'm just gonna say is that Matthew Fairchild is the closest thing I have to a fictional crush at the moment. The next question is going to be one of your newest favorite characters. So for this one, I am going to go with Laszlo Strange from Strange the Dreamer, which this book will show up again for other reasons. But Laszlo Strange is just a character who, he's a character who's obsessed with books, and he works in a library, and it's just so easy to love him if you read. Like, it was so easy to just love Laszlo. I don't know. And it was nice. I really, I related to that aspect of him, but he really liked research. He was very obsessed with this hidden world. And I mean, he was just such a great character to read about. I really enjoyed the whole story here, and I really enjoyed like him as a character and like what he represents and like his arc and like the things that he does and the things that he cares about, and just he's a very compassionate character. So I just really appreciated this story for what it was. That's all. But Laszlo Strange, the character, was one of my favorite aspects of the story, for sure. So the next question I have 5 answers for, which I didn't think I would be. So the next question is a book that made you cry. And I didn't think I was this much of a sensitive person, but I don't know, man. When you can write the characters and they hit a certain way, the tears come for me. So I'm going to discuss these in the order of what made me cry the most to what made me cry the least and just shed like one single tear. So the book that made me cry the most is not what I said is my favorite book of the year. The book that made me cry the most was Heartstopper Volume 4. So fucking read it. It's just iconic. It's so fucking good. So I did cry more at this than Lair of Dreams, but Lair of Dreams was definitely like the book that made me cry the second most, for sure. Then we're gonna talk about Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This is a memoir about a woman who was raped behind a dumpster. So there's definitely trigger warnings for that. And if you listen to the audiobook for this, you are going to listen to the woman tell you the story herself because she narrates it herself, and lots of emotions. So be prepared for that. I cried because of the way she wrote this and how she found solace with so many other women was so tragic but beautiful in a weird way. Like all of these women coming together. I would highly recommend this book if you can handle it, for sure. And then the final book I'm going to talk about is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, which, this award. I'm just realizing I've given every single book with this award at least 4 stars. So this is the one for me. This award is a good ass award. Just interesting to note. This book made me cry. This book came out, I think, 2017, 2016? Nope, this came out in 2017. So it's about 4 years old now, but it's still super relevant. This is a very important book about police brutality, but it also talks a lot about Star and her family and her family dynamics and how they're just lovely. She has such a good family. So it's a very good book. That's all. It made me cry. Highly recommend it. If you somehow still have not read it, you should absolutely check it out. Okay, on a lighter note, the next question is a book that made you happy. So I am easily going to go ahead and give this award to The Lightning Thief, the Percy Jackson Olympians first book. So I did not read this as a child, but I still gave this 5 stars. This is a fantastic entry in the series. And I read the whole series this year. Usually if I pick up a series and start the whole series, read the whole series, like that is a very good sign. I did rank all the books in just the Percy Jackson series, so I'll leave that linked as well. It's probably gonna be over here on this side. I will leave that linked as well for you to check out, but this definitely made me very happy. This was just fun. This was hilarious. But also just the way it talks about weaving in Greek mythology with our current world. It's not, this was what, how long ago did this come out too? I don't even know when these things were published. This came out in 2000, how old was I in 2005? I don't know. I'll probably put it on the screen if I care enough. But so I think I was maybe 16 when this came out. So it was a little bit, no, I feel like I knew people reading that. It doesn't matter. This made me happy. That's the answer to the question. This is a very iconic series, so feel free to discuss it with me because I have now read it, which is very exciting when you read really popular series. It's fun. It's just fun to be on the hype train. All right, and then the next question is gonna be the most beautiful book that you've bought this year. I have 2 answers for this one. I'm gonna go with this Strange Dreamer, which I mentioned earlier. The cover is probably my favorite cover of all my books, except for maybe Ray Bear. Ray Bear is also stunning, but I feel like this is just so beautiful. There's clouds, there's stars, there's also symbols inside of the moth's wings. This is my favorite cover of any book ever. And then the next answer that I have is Chain of Iron. It matches Chain of Gold, and I think Chain of Gold is a little bit prettier, but I bought that last year, so I'm gonna go with Chain of Iron. I love all of Cassandra Clare's covers. They're just always so beautiful, and they're foiling, and it's just stunning. So those are my 2 answers for this question. And then the final question is, what books do you need to get to by the end of the year? And as we all say, for me, it's going to be all of them, but some things that I would like to prioritize by the end of the year are going to be easily the 2 I mentioned earlier, the Malibu Rising by TJR and Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune is also let's just put this beauty back in the screen, okay? We need to do that. Hello, everybody. Yes, much better. So yeah, and then also the other book I also want to finish Under the Whispering Door by the end of this year, and then I would like to read Ray Bear. I have not read it, and I also have not read Kingdom of Back, so I would like to read that as well, because I obviously love the covers, and I have high hopes for both of those books because I've heard amazing things. And then because I did already mention, like, Cinder was one of my biggest surprises of the year, I would like to at least continue the series before I forget everything. And also the Raven Cycle. I did finish the first book this year, so I would like to, again, at least continue reading it, because those are two series that I do want to continue, and hopefully they can end up on like a favorite series of all time list, because I really want to make one of those, but I need at least 5 to put in that video, and right now I only have like 2 series I could put in that. So those are all my answers. If you've done this tag, I would love to see it. I feel like most people have already done this. Like, I'm super late to this. So if you've done the tag, I'd love to see it. Send it to me and see what you have to say. Also, I will leave my Bookstagram, Goodreads, Twitter, all that will be in the description as well. So I would love it if you would follow me on there, see my, follow me on my reading journey, if you will. Other than that, have a great day. Bye.